start as soon as everyone is seated. Can you all hear well? Okay. Welcome. Welcome, welcome. Welcome to the Fort Jefferson Meet the Candidates Night, an informational, jointly sponsored by the Fort Jeff Chamber of Commerce and the Fort Jeff Civic Association. You can't hear anything in the back? Can you hear me now? I've always prided myself on not yelling at my children, but there's always a first time. I'm Leah Denea, editor and publisher of Time-Speak and Record News Media, and very proud to be the editor of the Port Times Record. I want to thank you for all coming out tonight, doing your civic duty in a democracy, familiarizing yourselves with candidates, officials, and governmental policies. I also want to thank the people who are running for office, because I know as a reporter that everybody loves them on the first day they're elected, and everybody loves them on the last day when they resign or they're ending. But in between, not so much. So I ask you to give a round of applause to the people who are willing to stand up. Okay. First, I think we should introduce ourselves, and I would ask each person to stand up and in a very loud voice tell everybody your name. We'll start with the chamber reps and the civic rep. Suzanne, Don.
Good evening. Thank you for coming to this event. I'm Dr. Suzanne Velasquez, director on the board of the Greater Port Jefferson Chamber of Commerce.
Good evening, Don Pollock, board member of the Chamber of Commerce.
Yolanda Schwartz, former school board trustee in California, but now Port Jefferson for 15 years, and representative here in Hawaii.
Say it again.
Yolanda Schwartz, member of the Civics Association and a former school board trustee for 10 years in California, not here, but happy to be here.
If the timer would please stand up so you all know who's the conductor here. And she'll be holding up signs to the board, letting them know what the time is. Did you introduce yourself?
I'm Janice.
Turn around.
I'm Janice Fleischmeeting, Port Jefferson Civic Association, recording secretary.
Okay, and then the collector of the index cards is...
Ta-da! Barbara Ransom.
And is it Keith who's doing the live streaming?
Right over there.
Please stand up and introduce yourself. Okay, and if the candidates would all stand up, starting with Kathy Ann. Introduce yourself. That's the other reason we're doing this.
You have to speak into the mic. Okay, thanks, Barbara.
Kathy Ann, candidate for mayor.
Matthew Franco, candidate for trustee. Giuliano, candidate for re-election for trustee.
Julie Cano, candidate for Port Jefferson trustee.
Thank you all. Now I'll ask you, please, all of you, to hold your applause and your loud reactions until the end of the program in order to move this along quickly. Thank you. Also, if you could silence your digital companions, your watches, your laptop, your cell phones, whatever else you may have brought, that would be most appreciated.
I'll come by to collect them so you don't have to give up.
So here's the format. Questions will be taken from the floor by index cards only. And if you need an index card, please come up here and get one. They're right at this table. Questions will be screened for duplication, clarity, and grammar. And no statements, please, just ask the question. There will be one timer facing the candidates to indicate how much time they have left. I have the authority to make exceptions to the response times for questions, but I probably won't do that because I know you want to get out of here by 8:30. Same amount of questions of time will be allotted for each candidate responding or rebutting to the question. The order of responses has been predetermined, and questions will be asked in a round-robin style, giving equal amounts of time to each candidate. Question responses are for up to 1 minute if needed. If there is a need for a rebuttal, there's a 30-second rebuttal. Each candidate will be given 2 minutes in opening statements, and we will start with Kathy Ann. Timer, are you ready? Here we go.
Thank you for this opportunity. Especially want to thank all of you, the community.
Yell into the mic.
Turn on the volume. There you go. Is that better?
Yes.
Especially want to thank all of you, the community, for coming out to hear us tonight.
Turn the AC off.
It's right on my mouth. I can't get any closer. Is that better?
You're a pop singer.
He moved.
I especially want to thank all of you, the community, for coming out tonight to hear what we all have to say. Good evening, I'm Kathy Ann Snaden, and I'm running for mayor because I love this village deeply, personally, and with an unwavering commitment to its future. I've had the honor of serving as your deputy mayor for 2 years and trustee for 4. In that time, I've led with transparency and produced real results. I've launched the quarterly report to keep residents informed, instituted live streams, and created a YouTube archive of board meetings so you always have access to your government. I created new initiatives like Passport Shared Ride Service and the Code Enforcement Community Relations Team. I spearheaded traffic calming measures, formed bicycle and zombie home task forces, and rolled up my sleeves to beautify this village, removing graffiti, building pocket parks, always with an eye on environmental stewardship. I've served as liaison to vital departments, including Code, Court, Architecture Review Committee, Business Improvement District, Zoning Board of Appeals, Parking and School District, and more. I was honored to be named as the TVR's Person of the Year in 2019 for my work on behalf of this community. This campaign isn't about politics, it's about people, it's about all of you. It's about restoring trust in our government and refusing to accept the status quo when we know we all deserve better. I've never been afraid to ask the tough questions or to stand alone if that's what's right for the people of Port Jefferson. Leadership is not about ego, it's about public service. It's about having the vision and stamina to tackle our challenges head on, and humility to bring people together to get it done.
We just made an executive decision here. For the opening and closing statements, we're going to let them use this mic. I think you all can hear back in the room now better? Okay, but for the remaining portion, you're gonna have to really use the wireless because we can't keep having people come back and forth.
Well, we'll start over then.
Start over? Okay, thank you all. Good evening, I'm Kathy Ann Snaden and I'm running for mayor because I love this village deeply, personally, with an unwavering commitment to its future. Port Jefferson isn't just about where I live, it's my home, it's your home. It's where we raise families, support our small businesses, walk our dogs, show up for each other when it matters most. I've had the honor of serving as your deputy mayor for 2 years and trustee for 4. In that time, I've led with transparency and produced real results. I launched the Port E-Report to keep all of you informed, instituted live streams, and created a YouTube archive of board meetings so you have access to your government. I've created new initiatives like the Passport Shared Ride Service and Code Enforcement Community Relations team. I spearheaded traffic calming measures, formed bicycle and zombie home task forces, and rolled up my sleeves to beautify this village, removing graffiti, building pocket parks, always with an eye on environmental stewardship. I've served as liaison to vital departments, including Code, Port, Architecture Review Committee, the Business Improvement District, Zoning Board of Appeals, Parking, the School District, and more. And I was honored to be named TBR's Person of the Year in 2019 for my work on behalf of this community. This campaign isn't about politics, it's about people, it's about all of us, all of you. It's about restoring trust in our local government and refusing to accept the status quo when we know we deserve better. I've never been afraid to ask the tough questions or to stand alone if that's what's right for the people of Port Jefferson. Leadership is not about ego, it's about service. It's about having the vision and stamina to tackle our challenges head on and the humility to bring people together to get it done. By the end of this evening, you'll see that I'm not just prepared to be your next mayor, I'm already doing the work. I believe the mayor sets the tone for the village, in government, in management of staff, and in general vibe of our village. The heart and soul. With your help, we will bring back the heart and soul of this community. My promise to you is simple. I will lead with purpose, collaboration, and caring. I will protect what makes this village special, and always, always put you and Port Jefferson first. Thank you.
Hi, I am Lauren Shepro. Thank you for being here tonight and for your interest in the future of Port Jefferson. When I first ran for mayor less than 2 years ago, I promised to bring transparency, fiscal responsibility, and collaborative leadership back into village government. I also promised to restore trust, not only in how your village is run, but in how your tax dollars are managed. I'm proud to stand before you tonight with a record of real results, not empty promises. In just 2 years, we've restored fiscal responsibility, uncovering and correcting a $1.3 million deficit through a forensic audit and bringing the village back into full compliance with general municipal accounting practices. We've kept taxes low, not piercing the tax cap for 2 years in a row, for the first time in 10 years. We've made government more transparent and accessible, opening Village Hall on day 1. Live streaming meetings, both work sessions and public sessions. Moving sessions into larger venues and ensuring that residents have an opportunity to speak and be heard. We've improved and reformed code enforcement, eliminating firearms to comply with New York state law, and strengthening partnerships with Suffolk County Police. We brought in over $1.5 million in new and recovered grant funding, including a $450,000 grant that had been left on the table by the prior administration. We've streamlined village operations, launched an ethics board, and a budget and finance committee, to act as a fiscal watchdog and reestablished key committees like public safety, parking, and established a new Citizens Commission on Erosion. Port Jefferson is on a better path today because we've done the hard work together. I'm running for re-election because there's more to do, and I'm asking for your vote to help me do that. Thank you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to take a personal minute. Matthew, come here.
This is my boy. Nobody embarrasses my boy, Julie. You should be ashamed of yourself. I love you.
Oh, come on.
All right. Sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. You know, I love this village, and I've walked throughout this whole village. I've met so many nice people, and I'm sorry, I'm so upset for my son. It's the second time this village has tried to embarrass him. I cannot believe we need class and dignity brought back to this administration, not slanderous nonsense for people that are inadequate and don't have the skill set to do the job. And I know that's harsh, but I'm saying the truth. Now, I've worked for 10 years in construction. I'm going to go to my opening now. And, you know, I put a lot of time and experience in road work, construction work. I'm also an occupational therapist. I've worked with pediatric population and disabled children. And I've lived in this village for 22 years. It's an amazing place to live. I want to give back to our community. I want to try and do good things for our community. There are a lot of things that we need to address. The power plant, the bluff, the upper Port Jefferson with the apartments that are coming up. But I think most importantly, we need to bring honesty and integrity and decency back to village government. And I hope that I can represent you and I can earn your vote because I'm going to try and represent you with class and dignity. Thank you very much.
Good evening, everybody. I'd like to thank the Chamber of the Port Jefferson Civic Association for inviting me to get to know the residents to explain to you why I'm a good choice for re-election as trustee. For those of you that may not know me, my name is Bob Giuliano. I'm running for re-election as a Port Jefferson trustee. Let me tell you a little bit about myself. I've had the privilege of serving as trustee for the past 2 years, and I'm currently deputy mayor. I'm the commissioner of DPW. I'm trustee liaison for the Parks and Rec Advisory Council, Conservation Advisory Council, Citizens Commission on Erosion, Tree Committee, and the Conservancy. I'm the former clerk administrator for the Village of Port Jefferson. I was named Man of the Year in Government by the Port Times Record and Clerk of the Year by the New York State Association of City and Village Clerks. My family and I moved to Port Jefferson 24 years ago. I'm very active in the Infant Jesus Parish. I'm a Eucharistic minister, and I'm a member of the Joan of Arc Knights of Columbus at Infant Jesus. I was treasurer of the Port Jefferson Prom Committee. I'm a member of the Port Jefferson Historical Society. I earned an undergraduate degree from St. John's University in Government and Politics, Public Administration, and an MBA also from St. John's in Economics. I'm married to my wife Kelly for 40 years. We have 2 years, Stephen and Victoria. 2 children, I'm sorry, Stephen and Victoria, both graduates of the Port Jefferson School System. Let me give you some reasons to vote for me. I have over 30 years experience in village government. I promise to continue to represent all village residents. I will continue to make sure your voice is heard. I will meet with you to discuss village concerns and ideas. I have regularly set up hours for the past 2 years on Saturday morning to meet with residents here at the Village Center to discuss and answer any questions they may have. I've always had an open door policy, and I will continue that policy. I understand how environmental changes affect the village, and I will work to address the flooding issues of the village. I will work properly to develop the uptown southern portion of the village to ensure integrity and the look of the village and make sure the look of the village is maintained. I have the experience, I have the know-how, and I have the skills to get the job done. I'm not running with anybody, I'm not running against anyone. I'm running for re-election. Thank you.
Mr. Franco, thank you very much for saying what you said. That has nothing to do with your son. It happens to do with your bad judgment. You still have a cell phone on the table, and we were told not to use cell phones. So, all right. So, good evening, and thank you for being here tonight. My name is Julie Vitrano, and I'm running for Port Jefferson Village Trustee. But I love this village, and I want to see it thrive. I bring over 20 years of hands-on experience in real estate, commercial development, title, and code compliance. I know how to identify problems, navigate complex issues, and get results. I've helped property owners fix violations, worked with other municipalities, and brought vacant buildings back to productive use. Yes, I am a real estate agent, but that doesn't mean I want to overbuild. I support smart, balanced growth that preserves the character of Port Jefferson. I want safer roadways, walkways, and village that works for families, seniors, business owners, and future generations. I proudly serve on the Chamber Committee and the Economic Task Force, where I collaborate with others to help strengthen our local economy and support small businesses. As a mom of 3 boys in Port Jefferson School District, I am deeply invested in this community, and just because I'm a woman doesn't mean I can't lead. I can handle the challenges, the pressure, and the responsibility. If you see me in the village, stop me, share your concerns. I'm not just listening, I'm ready to act. I will fight for this village and work every day to keep its charm, protect its future, and serve its people. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to jump in here and take advantage of my position and give the first 2 questions. The first one is to Kathy Ann. Yep. Okay. We all know what the mayor's plan is for the Bluff Wall project. What is your position? Should the village be considering rebuilding the building inland now? We all know what the mayor's plan is for the Bluff Wall project. What is your position? Should the village be considering rebuilding the building inland now?
The village should absolutely be considering all options when it comes to the bluff. There should not just be one option shoved down our throats. We've been told that there was a bluff committee that was formed. We just recently found out at a village board meeting that that bluff committee was not given all of the documents that they need to render their report, but that they wanted to look at all options. How can we make a committee of our peers and not give them all the tools that they need to do their job? They need all of the documents that they've requested. We all need to have all of the options, and we need to see what those options are. With our tax revenue going to decrease and been decreasing with the issue with LIPA, we need to look at very, very careful spending. Spending a ton of money on a bluff project that we are now hearing from engineers could only last us approximately 10 years. We really have to look at what those other options are. Thank you.
Thank you. The question for Lauren, please. Is the final report issued by the Citizens Committee on Erosion about the Bluff project submitted to the trustees over a month ago going to be posted on the website before the election?
First, can I invite the response?
They don't answer the same question.
Sorry, I'm new at this. Apparently, each question needs to be answered by everyone on the panel first before the next question is posed. So Laura, you can think about the next question, and let's go to the first question.
Okay, the first question said we all know what Mayor Shepherd's plan is for the bluff.
Right.
And then what?
What is your position? Yes, we know your position, I guess. Should the village be considering rebuilding the building inland now?
So do I get 30 seconds to rebut the first response and then answer the question? I don't know. I get to, can you hear me in the back?
What? Yes. So every question, everyone will get a chance to rebut?
So a 30-second rebuttal and then a 1-minute response? Is that what it is? The 30-second rebuttal is, first, Mayor Shepherd doesn't even have a plan ready yet. So the presumption of that question was false. Right now, we are reviewing all the documents, all the plans, and waiting for plans from the engineer of record, GEI, for their proposed value engineered plan for what phase 2 should look like. So I don't know what that looks like. I don't know how anybody else in this room knows what that looks like, so the premise is wrong. To answer the question in general is to say that in 2021 I ran for trustee because I was not given an option to vote on a $10 million bond that was voted for unanimously by the sitting board of trustees, including Deputy Mayor at the time, Snady. So had we had an opportunity to vote on that proposal, that bond, who knows what would have happened. But secondarily, there was no conversation, no discussion, no invitation from the community to get involved. The Citizens Commission on Erosion is how this community is getting involved. They are asking the tough questions. They are asking for documents, which we provide when we have them. They are submitting interim reports, not final reports. It was an interim report, and they are still working at this. So we appreciate the community's involvement in this, and we are listening to their questions. We are taking their questions, and we're bringing them to the engineering firm, and we're challenging the engineering firm on every level. Got it. You say that you are looking at all options. Would you share with the community what the alternative options to the wall are?
There's no question.
Okay. I would like to see, because I haven't seen, and I don't know if any of you have seen, what those alternative options to the bluff are that the mayor just explained that she is considering. All I've seen is that the committee is looking at building the wall and what those options are. As far as to respond to the mayor saying that there was no community input, we had, when I was a sitting trustee, multiple public meetings. We received public input. We asked the public the questions. They are on YouTube. You can watch those public meetings. Thank you, Molly. You're pointing at me, but I would like to refer you to the YouTube channel. You can see those public meetings. They were all made public. Thank you so much.
Three concepts were presented on March 27th to the public.
Matt?
Ladies and gentlemen, we had quite a bit of trouble with the lower wall.
Ladies and gentlemen, we've had quite a bit of problems with this administration, even just doing the basic maintenance on the lower wall project, that we had to ask the DEC for an extension because they didn't maintain the lower wall. As I walk this community, 90% of the people I have come to have asked for a vote. It's interesting that the mayor is upset that when the wall was originally planned, there was no vote. Well, there's no vote to go forward with the phase 2 of this project. We need to have the community put together a vote because the projections that we're getting on this project are not realistic. The estimates that we have are from 2017. You know, the real problem is we're never going to beat Mother Nature. And when they had the erosion meeting, it was Trustee Berginsky who said, we're buying time with this project. I don't think we should spend millions of dollars of hard-earned taxpayer money to buy time. This is a failed project. It will continue to fail, but what they're not telling you is the continual maintenance costs of keeping up that wall. Thank you.
All right, so reality is we're meeting with engineers every 2 weeks. We don't know what it's going to be, what the upper wall, what the final project is going to look like. That's why we're meeting with the engineers. That's why we have engineers working with us to tell us this is the plan. Once that's done, we'll go out to bid. We'll see how much it costs. We don't know if if the money that we have put aside is going to be enough of a wall. At that point, we'll have to make a decision. Just keep in mind one thing. If we were to demolish the building, not do anything, demolish a building, we have estimates or people have told us it's going to cost $1 million just for demolishing it. We're going to lose revenue for the contractor that's at the Lessings, who's paying us rent at this point now, and then we're going to have to build another building. So these are things that we have to keep in mind. I'm keeping an open mind right now. I'm waiting to see what the engineers say, and then once the engineers give us a report back, we'll be able to make an educated prediction of what to do.
We want to thank Max for coming in and rescuing us tonight. Thank you, Max. Better?
You ready? So do I believe that phase 1 should have been approved? I do not. I don't think it was engineered correctly and without a clear plan with the engineers. Full transparency and meaningful input from the residents. This was a decision made by the prior administration. Unfortunately, it moved forward with poor execution, questionable spending, and a low communication from the community. Now we're left with dealing with the consequences, and now that's not right to the village residents. Before anything like phase 2 is even considered, or anybody talks about another building, I think we need a public referendum. This is our village, your tax dollars, and your future. It's time to voice that it matters the most, whether you want it or you don't want it.
Okay, second question. Is the final report issued by the Citizens Committee on Erosion about the Bluff project submitted to the trustees over a month ago going to be posted on the website before the election?
So the Board of Trustees will be engaging with the Citizens Commission on Erosion tomorrow night at the work session, which will also be live streamed, where we will go through, ask questions, ask them to explain, and just dialogue about that interim report. It is not a final report, it is an interim report. It is the same interim report that was presented on March 27th in this building during a public forum discussing the bluff and where it stands. Our engineers were there, the Citizens Commission on Erosion was there, and the entire Board of Trustees was there to hear publicly what was being done and how things were proceeding. So with that meeting, the interim report will be going up on the website as quickly as we can get it up there. We are still working with the Citizens Commission on Erosion, and we look forward to working with them until we don't need to anymore. We welcome their input, and we welcome their commentary.
The word is getting passed up from the back, asking all of you when you answer the questions, if you would also stand up. They want to hear you.
Matt.
Do I go next?
I wanted to read
Oh.
yes. We heard at one of the last public board meetings from the chair of this committee, this Bluff Commission, Citizens Commission on Erosion, and he was telling all of us that they were not getting the documents that they had been requesting. I had even had meetings with some of the members of this committee, and I heard the same thing, that they are having a very difficult time doing their job because they are not getting the documents that they needed in order to render this report. So when we do see this report, we all have to keep in mind that all of the information they needed was not provided to them. Thank you.
The interesting thing about that report is the very last statement in that report is they believe we need to retreat the building. Ultimately, that's what's going to happen. But to jump back into GEI, the engineering firm, to go back to the last question, that firm did not anticipate the runoff from the tennis courts and the parking lots. And that's why we had a blowout at the Bluff. And we're still using the same firm that missed that on the original project. Now we had to give now that project has to be re-engineered because it doesn't work anymore. The original plans don't work because of the blowout. We really need to take a hard look at this project and the expense. I worked in construction for a very long time and I've received engineers' reports, but we've always gotten cost estimates with them. And this administration, for some reason, cannot get a cost estimate or a projection of what the costs are going to be. And as Ms. Sneeden said, she's correct. I went 2 months ago to the board and asked, why does the erosion committee have to foil documents they should be given? The answer was, Bob Giuliano said that he is now currently working on that to try and make that more effective. Thank you.
So there is no final report yet. That's one. Yes, I'm the liaison for the erosion commission. I'm working with them as far as getting whatever reports or whatever documents they need. There was a little delay in some of the reports, but that's been worked out now. And again, we have to wait and see what the engineers say before we can make a final decision. But again, there is no final report yet. We'll be meeting with the commission tomorrow night to get their interim report. We'll put that up on the website and then we'll move on from there.
As of right now, there still is not a clear plan. So unless I have that, I am not able to give a full opinion of what I would do. But I still believe that the parking lot and the top wall would have to be fixed before anything. Thank you.
all of you, oh wait, Matt goes first. The question. Next question is, what inspired you to run for office and what makes you the better candidate?
What originally inspired me to run for office was that Mayor Shepro was trying to fade out junior members at the golf course. And the more I investigated it, I became a little frustrated. And then seeing how the mayor and some of the members of the board were dealing with the school district, I knew that that was the time that I said I have to step in and do something. So I believe with my construction experience, I can definitely help. I attended many of the erosion committee meetings, and I believe I bring a skill set and a toolbox that will help. Like I said, I've worked with disabled children for a very long time. I run my own business. I believe that I have a compassion, strength, and integrity so that I can bring that to the village and help move forward some of these projects that we need to move forward. This bluff project is going to be an expense on us forever. If they finish phase 2, it's the maintenance that they're not telling you about. We have to continually survey and maintain that wall in perpetuity. And until we get cost estimates, and I've never seen a project that you can't get cost estimates. I just haven't seen it.
So 2 years ago, I saw a need to run for election. So I ran for trustee. I felt that I could be a voice for people that did not have a voice, or people that were not heard before. So I ran for trustee, I won. I started my Saturday sit-downs. I meet upstairs once a month on Saturday. Anybody that wants to come by, I have an informal meeting with them, talk about whatever village concerns they have. What makes me a good candidate? I have 30 years municipal experience. I was a former village clerk, village administrator. I was the village treasurer for the village of Lindenhurst. I was clerk treasurer for the village of Westbury. I have 30 years municipal experience. I have community involvement. I've been liaison, deputy mayor, and liaison to a number of different committees in the village. So I feel that organization, that experience that I have makes me a good candidate for re-election.
This is an extremely difficult question. So why did I run for Port Jefferson trustee? Well, I have met really good people in my life that I actually thought were friends, which to find out, they were not friends. They said extremely negative things to me, texted me horrible things, and honestly, I did not want Port Jefferson to have to deal with exactly what I dealt with. So that is why I ran for Port Jefferson trustee. I am not only familiar with building, but zoning and codes. I can help Port Jefferson build smart, sustainable growth here. And I'm willing to help all the residents and business owners thrive every day while they're here in Port Jefferson running their own business. Thank you.
I'm running for mayor because I still see untapped potential here in the village of Port Jefferson. I see a thriving, inclusive village. I see a sustainable local economy, and I see a village where we can have safe neighborhoods again. We need a government that listens and informs the residents, not behind closed doors, not without transparency. The village doesn't need any more legacy mayors. We've had 2 in a row, we don't need any more. I'm a resident, I'm a parent, and I'm your neighbor. I love this village and I share the same concerns you do. I believe in leadership and trust through action, not rhetoric. I don't just want to serve Port Jefferson. I want to unite it and make it the best village it can be. With all of your help, with all of your input, I think we can do it together. Thank you.
So I originally stated that the reason I ran for trustee was because there was a $10 million bond voted on unanimously by 5 people. And that obligated everybody in this village to pay that back. So I didn't like that, so I decided to run for trustee. Then when I became a trustee, I started seeing how things were done behind those closed doors that candidate Sneeden talks about. There was fiscal mismanagement, there was a locked village hall, there was a lack of HR process and civil service compliance. We were giving away taxpayer resources without even thinking about it. There were ethical conflicts. I think one of the sitting trustees accepted $2,500 for photographs that trustee took. While a trustee. There were operational issues that were unsustainable, and there was no participation from residents in village government. That's why I ran, and that's why I think when I continue to operate and solve these problems, that's why I'm running for mayor again.
No, that's personal response. You know, if we keep rebutting and we keep applauding, we're going to be here for a very long
You see
time.
all the questions on that table, that from these two, well, there's kind of what I know. Maybe put it in your closing statements.
You have 3 minutes at the end. In your opinion, as we start here with Bob, in your opinion, what are the top 3 challenges facing the village, and what specific actions and plans do you propose to address these challenges? In 1 minute.
All right, so as we've been talking, number 1 will be the bluff. We have to determine what we have to do with the bluff, what's the best move going forward. Number 2 would be uptown. We want to make sure that any development that goes on up there keeps the look and the vibrancy of the village alive. We don't want to overpopulate uptown, but take a look at uptown. It needs something up there, so we have to do something with the uptown, with the southern end of the village. And number 3 is just community. I mean, my God, we're better than that. You know, everything that's been going on for the past month, this is not how our village should be, and this is not, you know, who we were brought up to be. This is not why we moved to this village, and you know, we got to keep civility. So that would be number 3. Thank you.
So we need to improve connectivity. Uptown deserves better access. I'll push for some sort of extra parking, safer sidewalks, lighting, signage, and improvement for pedestrians and bike rides. Support local businesses. Let's fill empty storefronts, local entrepreneurs, pop-up shops, and community resources. I'll advocate for flexible leases with incentives to get it done. We need to create a true uptown identity. We need to energize uptown with beautification projects, events, and branding that reflect project and pride, creativity, and unity. Fund smart, not fast. I pursue county and state grants, Main Street programs, and public-private partnerships to grow responsible with raising local taxes for businesses and new builders.
That's a lot for 1 minute, but I agree that the bluff is a big issue. We've already spoken about that. Uptown development, controlled growth that strengthens rather than changes our community's identity. We need to make sure we utilize the resources in place at the Architectural Review Committee that I served as liaison to for a couple of years to maintain the character and the quality of what we want to see in the village. Most importantly, what's near and dear to my heart is public safety, and that's one of the biggest issues here in the village. Currently, we don't have a public safety department. Our former code enforcement department that prioritized public safety and the safety of our community now focus on writing parking tickets and building code violations. I want to bring an all-new public safety department to this village that would focus on professional development of, I would focus on the professional development of those code officers, prioritizing in the recruitment would be community values. 1 minute? Oh, okay, thank you. Finish up later.
Can you repeat the question so I'm answering the right thing?
In your opinion, what are the top 3 challenges facing the village, and what specific action plans do you propose to address these challenges?
The top challenge is flooding in the downtown commercial district. We are right now meeting with the engineering firm that was awarded the FEMA grant contract to study flooding problems. The territory that they're studying starts over in the northeast end of Harborfront Park and goes all the way up to the southwest area where Park Road meets Old Post Road West and all points in between. So we are working with this engineering firm, we're working with the Port Jefferson Fire District, we're working with the Port Jefferson School District, the town of Brookhaven, to take a look at this flooding, where it's coming from. It is the top 3 problems that the village faces right now is flooding. So this study, which is concludes in January 2026, will then be followed by a real construction project.
In one breath, in your opinion, what are the top 3 challenges facing the village, and what specific actions and plans do you propose to address these challenges?
The bluff is one of the biggest problems that we have, phase 2. And we can give back phase 2 money and come up with a new plan. So the bluff is definitely number 1 on the hit list. The Lessings contract that we just signed at the catering hall is the second problem. There's no obligation to open the restaurant. We used to receive 8%, I believe Treasurer Gaffney said, of our operating expenses from rent at the catering hall. Right now, we get 9% of food and beverage costs. The problem is, Lessings has no skin in the game. There's nothing for Lessings to be tied to the village. If they make no money, we make no money. This contract also states, and I have it here, that we are now responsible for the maintenance of the outside of the building. So we are locked into that project for a very long time. The revenue stream is not going to be the same. I believe that Lessings would have to make $4 million in revenue for us just to get back the rent that we were receiving before. And we are going to be choked with that contract for a very long time.
New question. And we start with Julie, is that correct? We all know election season comes with plenty of rumors. Is there one rumor you'd like to clear up tonight, and what are the facts of which you know? We all know election season comes with plenty of rumors. Is there one rumor you'd like to clear up tonight? And what are the facts that the voters should know? If you don't think there are any rumors, we'll go to the next person.
Yeah, I think we go to the next question.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. That gives me the opportunity to clear up a rumor that was just stated by the current mayor, that there was an ethical violation when I accepted payment for the village's use of my intellectual property. I am a professional photographer. I was asked to use the photographs that I had taken in order to promote one of the most wonderful events in this village, the Dickens Festival. That was done, that was voted on by Board of Trustees in an open public board meeting. I recused myself from that vote. The amount of money that I received for that intellectual property was also disclosed on our auditor forms and to the state, and it was all done in public. So that's the rumor, that I did something unethical that I wanted to dispel. Oh, yes, and that intellectual property is still being used. Thank you.
So I think I'll address the Lessings contract. When this Board of Trustees, current Board of Trustees voted for the Lessings contract, they saved the village from a months-long lawsuit and exhaustive liability. We took a terrible contract that was signed in 2021 and moved it to a reputable, family-centric, 135-year-old successful organization whose one goal is to succeed and committed to do something really good. How do we know? We looked at their experience with Bethpage State Park, Montauk Downs, North Palm Beach Country Club, and Sunken Meadow State Park, and saw what success looks like. This Board of Trustees took lemons and made Arnold Palmer out of a terrible contract that we were saddled with in 2021. They took lemons and they made Arnold Palmers.
The rumor I would like to address is that this is not my real hair. It is. With the Lessings contract, this was an election year panic decision in an emergency session because we hadn't received rent at the country club for approximately 5 or 6 months. So again, Lessings has no skin in the game. All of the responsibility has been thrust on every one of you, ladies and gentlemen. If there's a problem with that building, we are now responsible to pick up the cost for the repairs. But I'd also like to talk about, the mayor cut the budget in the February amendment. She cut street maintenance by $13,500 and traffic control by $6,300. But she increased her mayor's expense by $7,325 and went to the Bellport golf outings, spending another $1,200 of our money. We need fiscal responsibility here. We should not be spending money on a golf outing and cutting street maintenance.
Rumors fly. There's rumors all over the place. The rumor that I've heard, more times than that is you're running with this person, you're running with that person. As I said before, I'm not running with anybody. I'm not running against anybody. I'm just running for re-election for a trustee. I hope I did a good job. I hope you felt that I did a good job in the 2 years I was there, and I'm hoping that you would re-elect me. Thank you.
The next set of questions is about safety. Plans and implementation to make our entire village more safe for pedestrians.
What is the plan to safe for pedestrians?
Yes.
There was a walkability study that was, we had a grant for back when I was deputy mayor. I don't know what's been done with that, but I have talked to a lot of residents going door to door, and it is a concern of theirs. Our sidewalks could use repair, but it's my understanding that there was, Mr. Franco just mentioned a budget cut that I have to look into for street repair. I don't know if that coincides with the sidewalk repair, but we do need to make this village more walkable and use that walkability study to find out where we are lacking, we could use more sidewalks, where our sidewalks could use repair to make things much more safe for the community. Thank you.
So the $7,000 that Mr. Franco referenced and the candidates seemed to reference was a contract which wasn't ever written, signed, or codified by the Board of Trustees to pay the Port Jeff Times, Beacon Record newspapers for advertising. So it was a contract that we assumed and we figured out how to pay for it because it was the right thing to do, it was agreed upon, and it was a good investment. But we had to find the money, and the money came from the mayor's budget. So that's what that was. And then walkability. We just actually had a meeting today with a relatively newly established walkability group that has generated out of the Civic, and working on them with that organization. We brought the engineering firm Hayduck in, who conducted the original engineering study, walkability study, and we're making progress on our plans going forward.
As I walked the Highlands and was speaking to many of the residents, they had concerns about break-ins within the Highlands and in the park area to the west of Highlands. And I was in North Carolina when my son was playing baseball, and they had these towers with cameras that do 360-degree video surveillance, and the signal gets sent right to the local police department. And I said, wow, this would be a neat idea for us to park one of these cameras up by the park over there and as a deterrent. But now it allows code enforcement to monitor that area from their station. They don't have to patrol that area. We're actually constantly patrolling it. And then we can send that transmission straight to Suffolk County, the 6th Precinct, and get a response that we need. So I believe there are some creative ways that we can increase public safety, but we have to think outside the box a little bit. Thank you.
So walkability study, I believe Janice, our timekeeper, is very active in the walkability study and in increasing the walkability of our village. As far as other safety, we just hired 11 new code enforcement officers, and at our last meeting, the Suffolk County Police notified us that they will be continuing with the whiskey patrol, which means more police officers will be on the street. We'll have more eyes on the street and more security on the street. So.
I also agree that there are walkable issues, but I will take action if elected. I will speak with Suffolk County Police, work with them directly to work with Suffolk County for temporary satellite offices or mobile police units within the village. I will also work with the county to explore ways to offer more support to our community. This initiative will help establish a legal and visual law enforcement precedent, improve response times, and build and rebuild community trust. This temporary setup would remain in place until we are able to establish a proper, permanent structure that serves the needs of residents.
Next question, Lauren. We'll stay with safety for a bit. What are your plans for maintaining professional standards in our local police force, including training, staffing, and recruitment?
So we don't have a local police force. So do we want to edit that question?
They're asking constables.
We don't have constables. We have code enforcement. So it's a code enforcement question, right? But can you
Read it, what's it?
read it again with the?
What are your plans for maintaining professional standards in our local code enforcement, including training, staffing, and recruitment?
Okay. Deputy Mayor Juliana just referenced the fact that we just approved the hiring of 11 new code enforcement officers. We have currently 2 fully certified New York State code enforcement officials in Kevin Cooper and James Murdocco. We hired Kevin Cooper earlier this year. He is training the new personnel. They are riding along with each other, and they're teaching each other how to enforce ordinances, which you can find plenty of them. There's plenty of ordinances to enforce in our village code. So they have their hands full. And whether it's writing tickets for parking, which helps manage our parking in the village, which is needed, or citing people without permits and building without permits and cutting trees without permits. These are the things that code enforcement really wasn't focused on in the past. This is a reform that has been needed for years. Code enforcement enforces ordinances. Thank you.
Good evening. Kevin and Anthony were now working in code. I've met both of them. They're super nice guys, super professional. They're very good at what they do. So the village is, Anthony and Kevin are going to train the staff that comes on board. I'm confident with that. But I'd like to get back to the Lessings contract for a minute. And that to me was a reckless contract for us to sign because it has locked us into this work. You know, Lessings has a 10-year agreement with us with no escalator clause. There's no rise in the 9% we receive in this contract. And then there's 2 5-year options that Lessings holds. The village doesn't hold an option on this. So this contract really locks us in at 9% for 20 years with no escalator clause. And it's only food and beverage. I believe that this was a panic decision because we had not received rent at that country club for approximately 6 months. And now there's no obligation, thank you, Zena, there's no obligation to open the restaurant. And we need.
Hold on. First of all, people talk over it, and I don't hear you yelling their names. And people have gone past the time people have gone over multiple times. So if I'm going to finish the thought, thank you.
I'm really confused. Can you repeat the question? Got a little off topic.
What are your plans for maintaining professional standards in our code enforcement, including training, staffing, and recruitment?
Okay, so as was discussed before, we hired 2 new code enforcement supervisors that are professionals, and they are doing, as Matt said, they're doing a yeoman's job. We've hired 11 new officers. They are training them. They are getting them ready. They're going to be on the street, and as of right now, enforcement is up throughout the village. I was reminded, Julie said something, and reminded me something. In September, I believe, we had a coffee with the cops right here in this very room. And I talked to somebody from the 6th precinct, one of the commanders from the 6th precinct, and talked to him about the possibility of opening up a satellite office. And he liked the idea. He was going to go back and take a look. So if we can get a satellite office, as Julie said, uptown, that would be great. I think that would increase safety throughout the village.
Well, I definitely agree with Bob. We're right on the same track. We definitely agree with that. But on to the Lessings, I'm just going to change it real quick. I understand that everybody is upset regarding that contract. but they weren't paying their rent. So would you rather have somebody in place, or would you rather want to have an empty building and cost the tax dollars more money for an empty building until we got somebody in there? Thank you.
Can you please repeat the question?
What are your plans for maintaining professional standards for our code enforcement, including training, staffing, and recruitment?
With our former public safety department, when I was deputy mayor, we had regular ongoing trainings that were done right here in Village Center. CPR, Stop the Bleed, Narcan, that we made sure that all of our officers were trained to the fullest extent. They were mostly retired police officers. They had prior training, they had on-the-job training, and they continued their continuing education. There are a couple officers here in the room tonight. I would like to thank you both for your service. So I would continue prioritizing that they have the proper training, but I also believe that any public safety issues should always be disclosed to the public. I think that's the number one way to keep people safe, is to keep people knowledgeable and know what's going on around them at all times. We need to educate the residents on what a new public safety department would be responsible for, and then alternatively, what Suffolk County Police would be responsible for. Them working hand in hand is key to keeping this village safe and to educating everyone. Thank you.
Noise in Port Jefferson. Constant issue here with loud music and loud exhaust issues. This person was in the village at 10 p.m. Sunday with no code enforcement around. Can we have code enforcement around till midnight or later to deal with this and to eliminate loitering? Matt? Yep. Yeah.
It's interesting you say noise, because that's a problem that we have in the community. I met with this young lady, Alana, and she complained that the modified exhaust on the motorcycles and on the cars caused major disruption. There was another young lady, Heather, who said she couldn't open her windows at night because they didn't have air conditioning, because there was so much noise coming from downtown. We need to reposition code and force Suffolk County to come down and enforce noise violations in our village. If we have to readjust the code to meet the decibel levels of these modified exhausts that are down in the village, well then let's do that. We have to sit down together and adjust the code if necessary, but we also have to coordinate with Suffolk County and code that during these evening hours, we have enough staff available to manage this problem, not just let it just exist and not have a solution for it. I think the solution is targeting the hours that need to be addressed with our own code in Suffolk County.
So one thing we have to keep in mind is that code can't they can't stop. They can't pull over cars. It's illegal for them to do that. But as far as the noise, I was told recently when I was walking around of a bill that's up in Albany. I believe it passed the Senate and it's with the Assembly or vice versa. I'm not sure exactly. I have to get the details on it. But it brings back the way to enforce it back to when you get your car or when you get your motorcycle inspected. So the inspection would check out the noise level of the cars, and then they would pass the inspection or not pass the inspection, depending on how loud it is. So I think one of the things that we have to do as a board is to advocate with our representatives up in Albany to pass that bill and to make sure that it's done at the mechanics where they're getting their vehicles inspected.
Once again, Bob explained it exactly the way I would explain it to you. And unless we have Suffolk County Police satellite offices or mobile stations here, code cannot give tickets. Code cannot stop you. So until we can get Suffolk County Police satellite office or a mobile station, it is going to keep on continuing.
Julie, you're right about that. Code cannot stop a moving vehicle, but they can write against the noise code. We know that they can write against our village code. We have a noise ordinance in our village. When I went on one of the many ride-alongs I had done with our code enforcement, late at night, there was a noise issue, and the way that the code enforcement handled it at the time, and our new public safety department would handle it now, is when they hear this noise, they see the loud vehicle, they would maintain contact with that vehicle until that vehicle stopped. When that vehicle stopped, they can then approach the driver and either discuss the issue with them or issue a ticket if necessary. So that code is on the books and can be enforced right now. Additionally, one of the things that I was looking into that I would like to collaborate with Suffolk County Police Department on are something called noise cameras. We have cameras throughout the village. During my tenure, we were ensured that they were hooked up to the Suffolk County Real-Time Crime Center. We were one of the first villages on Long Island to do so. I'd like to attach those noise cameras to those cameras as well. Thank you.
I was very intrigued by the prospect of bringing in noise cameras with Suffolk County Police. And when I checked with Yaphank, Suffolk County Police in Yaphank, there was no such thing. And so, therefore, it would take pretty Herculean effort to get a vendor in to work with Suffolk County Police to get something that is currently not available. So, in terms of the noise issue, our code enforcement folks, led by Kevin Cooper, have been visiting with the bars and restaurants that play music very late at night, loudly, and interrupting people's sleep who live down there. And they have been getting a positive response. And with the voluntary compliance, if and when they do not comply, our code enforcement officers will be providing the notices of violation in real time. They've been quite receptive to the conversations and to voluntarily comply from that standpoint.
Next question will go to environment. Are there plans, Bob, this starts with you, plans to implement the process to move the firehouse?
That's up to the firehouse. I mean, where would we put them? I've heard a lot of different stories that we're going to put them over by St. Charles. That's private property. That's owned by St. Charles. I don't know if we can move them there. But we are working, as a matter of fact, we have meetings tomorrow with the fire department and with the school district as far as getting our flood study going. Once that study is prepared, once that study is put together, we can move on from there and make some efforts to mitigate the flood within the downtown area. But as far as the fire department moving, it's up to them. If they want to move, if there's a location for them to do. And again, there's being cost involved with that. And don't forget, we're all in the fire department district, so whatever cost will be, we would pay for in taxes. But if the fire department wanted to move, absolutely, I would have no problem with that at all.
The firehouse district, it's its own district. The village does not have any say over what the firehouse district wants to do. So if they need help with the village hall and there's things that they need, they are more than welcome to come to any board of trustees or to the mayor and ask for help, but they are their own district. So wherever they want to move, they can definitely move. It's just we're our own district.
Any move by the fire department, as everyone has said, you hold up 30 seconds. Okay. Is of course up to them. However, that would cost some money, and that would increase our taxes potentially. So that's why it's always important for village government to work collaboratively with not only the fire department, but also our school district. Thank you. We have to support our schools. It's so important. And that's one of the big reasons why. If we all operate in silos and increase our taxes for this and that and the other thing, and then it all adds up pretty quick, we need to work collaboratively together with those taxing entities to make sure that village tax dollars are spent responsibly. Anything that the fire department would want to do to help them, to help us, I am fully in favor of and would give my full support behind them as Mayor of Port Jefferson to assist them in any way that they need. Thank you to the fire department as well for all that they do for us.
So the phrasing of that question, I just want to clarify.
It just plans and implementation process to move the firehouse.
To move the firehouse. So everyone answered the same way. Fire district is a separate taxing district from the village of Port Jefferson and from the school district. We all collaborate, we all partner in the betterment of our residents in the village. So we have been meeting with the fire district several times to talk about what might be the options for the fire facility to relocate in the upland hills of Port Jefferson. That's for them to discuss. I would support their initiatives fully. But secondly, and more importantly, they are a key stakeholder in this grant that we are currently working on to figure out an engineering plan and strategy to mitigate the flooding, to resolve the flooding issues in Lower Port Jefferson, in the Crystal Lake and Drowned Meadow. This is not something that we would strategically retreat from, because it's our responsibility to maintain this village.
First, I'd like to thank every volunteer fireman that protects all of our homes, our property, and our safety within this community. They do a yeoman's job. I don't know that I could add anything more than what these gentlemen and ladies have added. But what I'd like to do is, they did mention the school district, and I'd like to talk about that for a minute. We need to, as much as we want to advocate, Bob brought up an excellent point, that we need to advocate to the legislature for funding, to have them pass that guideline for the exhaust noise. There was a letter sent in support of the school district funding change to help the model so that our tax dollars don't go up. And if you look at this letter, everyone signed this letter but the leader of our community, the mayor. And I found that disconcerting, that is important. Every one of our property taxes would go up. And I understand that we really need to support the school district.
Plans to improve traffic flow, especially for Sheep Pasture Road if MTA acquires Lawrence Aviation property. Are there such?
I don't believe there was a traffic study on that road there. Was there? No. So I would definitely request a traffic study to be completed so we can get a true evaluation of the situation, so we can know what is going on and what is needed in that area.
Can you repeat the question, please?
Plans to improve traffic flow, especially for Sheep Pasture Road if MTA acquires Lawrence Aviation property.
You'd have to work with all the stakeholders. I would work with all the stakeholders. I would work with the residents in that community to find out what their needs are and bring that voice to those meetings with stakeholders of that acquisition of property. It's always important to get the village residents' input on what happens in their neighborhoods and in their surrounding neighborhoods. We would all be affected by that, and I think that, like Julie said, going to the professionals to look at what those traffic studies results are, and then working with everyone together to make sure that we have the right and proper traffic flows in and out of our community. Thank you.
So just like any municipal entity, the MTA would be responsible for conducting an environmental review, which would include a traffic study. So I'm sure they would look at that. This is the town of Brookhaven property. It's located in the town of Brookhaven, in the county of Suffolk. It's the responsibility of the county and the town to look into these issues, and we have an extremely productive relationship as a village with the county and with the town. We are on a speed dial to the town. We have direct line to the Supervisor Panico and to our representatives, and so I'm sure that we will work together to try and mitigate any potential traffic issues resulting from the acquisition of Lawrence Aviation Industries by the MTA.
I apologize. I don't like answering hypothetical questions on possible projections down the road that we don't know are going to be inevitable. We don't know what's going to happen. So most of the ideas that everybody has presented, they make sense, but I'm going to talk about the power plant for a moment. The glide path is coming down right now. We're in the final stage of the glide path, and I was in meetings with experts about the power plant, and there was a major concern that came up about potential contamination at the plant that we need to address. And as a village, if I'm elected trustee on day one, we are going to coordinate with National Grid and the state to do studies at the plant to make sure that this is safe for our community. This is important. And we also really need to start restructuring our expenses in the village to commiserate with the lost revenue that we're going to get from the plant, but not 2 years from now, today. We really need to take a scalpel to the budget. Thank you.
So we have recently taken the scalpel to the budget, and we've kept taxes below the, we haven't pierced the tax cap. But to answer the question as far as the MTA, if and when that happens, I'd say we have to get everybody involved. We have to talk to the whole community, get their plans, get their thoughts, get their ideas, what would work, what wouldn't work, get the studies done by the traffic engineers, and put a significant plan together, again, with the input from all the community, because do something like that without community input would be a disservice to every single person.
Starting with you, and we'll switch over to development. What economic development plans to promote growth and development do you have? I can just add there are empty storefronts. You can do the short-term pop-up stores, whatever you decide. Answer however you
You're giving me some answers. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yes. So economic development, one of my ideas has been a Shop Port First program initiative that village government would bring to the community to include our residents in supporting our local businesses. It would include specific incentives in our community, like a punch card system, first Friday of the month events that were specific to our residents. It would not only promote shopping and dining in the community, but it would also help bring our community together. Additionally, there is a discussion with the Business Improvement District to bring an app to our community, one that you could put down your phone, that you could tailor to the village, that would include the businesses, the restaurants, where to park, where to use public facilities, anything you would want to tailor that to help residents do what they need to do, the businesses to promote their sales and their specials, and supporting our local businesses supports the economic development of the empty storefronts in our town. Thank you.
People might find it surprising when they learn that there are 9% of the storefronts in the downtown C1 district are empty. Only 9%. So it looks like a lot more because you see the Gap, you see McDonald's, and you see the former Odell's and the former Graceful Rose open. But it is only a 9% vacancy rate. That being said, one of the things that I did when I first took office was I established the Economic Opportunity Task Force. Right now, what the task force is doing is meeting monthly with the bid, with the chamber representatives, and they're going through ways to find out what the people, what the primary users who utilize the village want to see in the village that is missing. We want to do a survey of Stony Brook University people, 50,000, 2,000 from Math, 2,000 from St. Charles, the people who are coming over from Bridgeport and Connecticut. The people who actually work in the downtown district. We want to understand what they feel is missing and start serving it up through infographics and presentations to commercial real estate developers.
Can you read that question again?
Economic development plans to promote growth and development.
This is a complicated issue because we don't control the buildings that need to be developed. They're controlled by the property owners, so we have to work in coordination with them. Also with the bid to find out what is going to be viable in our community. There were a lot of great ideas to bring businesses into the community, but we really need to work collectively as an administration with the bid and with the property owners to say, hey, listen, once you develop this property, what can we bring in here? How can we help you be successful in our community? Whether it's adjusting code, whether it's dealing with parking. Parking is a big issue in our community. Many of the employees in our community live outside of our community, and they should really be using the Brookhaven lot, so they open up spaces for customers. So, parking is a big issue. We need to address it, and we need to help the business owners with that. Thank you.
So as I said, seems like 10 hours ago, because I think it was only an hour ago. If you look uptown, it needs help. I think one of the first things we have to do is work with the developers. We're getting developers in to put some buildings, to put some new buildings in. As I'm walking around, and it goes back to the walkability, I'm seeing a lot of people that are walking from the hospital, they're on a lunch break, they walk around. So it would be good to have some service shops up there, up by the hospital, so that when they're walking around, oh, hey, I'm gonna go to this deli, or I'm gonna go to the cleaners, or I'm going to, get this done, get that done. So as they're walking around, they can actually go to these shops. So it ties in with what we said before, as far as walkability. We have to increase and make these sidewalks that we do have, make them better, and where we don't have sidewalks, make it more walkable, so that people that are going from the hospitals, they can go to these shops on their lunch hours or before or after work. Thank you.
So I believe there's a lot of misinformation that is spreading. There's a lot of vacancies that appears to be vacant in the village, but they are not. They are in the process of getting permits. They are in the process of getting leases signed. So really, I can only name 5 rental offices or spaces that are vacant. I would like to turn this village into a 4-season village. where there's something happening all season long so the businesses can stay open and thrive. Whether it's a holiday market in the winter, pop-up stores in spring, outdoor art shows or summer, or harvest festivals in the fall, pop-up art displays, these events can bring people together, including historic society, that could do more events and more festivals in the village. I think that would be very smart, and it could bring the society back to the village.
How do you plan to revitalize the uptown area while preserving Port Jefferson's historic charm and character? Did you hear me? How do you plan to revitalize the uptown area while preserving Port Jefferson's historic charm and character?
Wow, suddenly I'm a planner. Okay. So we do have a planner in the village of Port Jefferson. His name is Andy Freeland. We hired him, and he is a wonderful planner. We also have a comprehensive plan that was brought to was approved in 2014, but it was from 2010 to 2030. So that plan is set to expire soon. And what we were talking about in the Civic Association meeting last night, where the chair of the planning board and the chair of the zoning board of appeals both were there giving feedback and opinions to the Civic. We talked about revisiting that plan. It was actually brought up by Mr. Devise, and thought that was a very good idea, a very timely idea. And I do believe it is time, because we're seeing a lot of things. But the dwelling units, the limit of dwelling units in the comprehensive plan is 416, something like that. Is that the accurate number? Is that the number we should be sticking with? Let's take a look at the comprehensive plan and revisit it for 2050.
You know, with good planning, we'll get good results. So we need to work to not only maintain the code for the architecture of the projects that are going to be developed in Upper Port Jefferson, because I believe there are 3 major projects in the pipeline, and we also need to adjust the code to meet community concerns about the projects that are going up there. Whether it's the architecture of it, the size of the project, parking. There's a lot of, this is a pretty complex issue in Upper Port Jefferson. So it's important for us to work collectively with the business owners and the property owners, because eventually a lot of them want to have open space, business space at the bottom of those buildings. Again, we need to make sure that they're going to bring in businesses that are going to attract people to the community and help with revitalize Upper Port Jefferson. I think that's very important. Thank you.
Plans are all well and good, but if you make a plan, just don't make it and put it on the shelf. So if you're going to make a plan, you got to enact it. You have to make sure you check the plan, revise the plan as needed, and then keep on going from there. So, you know, we can make all the plans we want, but we have to make sure that we're actually putting them into place. What we should do is work with the planning, with Andy Freeling, with the architectural review committee, and make sure that we get uptown what we want. The developers who are willing to work with us, they're there to make a buck, but they also need us to approve everything. So we can work with the developers, take out the plan, and say, look, this is the plan, how are you going to fit into it? And if you can't fit into it, thank you very much, Mr. Developer number 2, come back here and work on these plans and put in what we want to see from the uptown, and not necessarily what the developer wants to see.
Balance is everything. I support smart, sustainable growth, development. Growth that respects our history and our small town character. My background in planning and zoning allows me to evaluate proposals in both progress and preservation in mind. We can grow thoughtfully in a way that adds value to our village without losing its heart.
Can you read the question, please?
How do you plan to revitalize the uptown area while preserving Fort Jefferson's historic charm and character?
Okay, thank you. As the former liaison to the Architectural Review Committee, that is one committee that's in place to help the village ensure that we maintain our charm and the character of the village that we want. There's a couple of members of that committee here in the audience. Thank you for all your service, your volunteer work. You guys are always incredible with what you do. We need to work as village government with the developers in order to ensure that they follow the guidelines that are presented by the ARC. In addition, make sure that they include in their plans things like pocket parks, lighting for safety, maintain green spaces, and of course that they abide by any of the environmental issues, which even though it's uptown and that there's not a flooding issue up there, but there are other environmental issues that come into play, like traffic, that can affect all of us. Street trees, pocket parks, gardens, that help to maintain the charm, as well as the materials used in the building of those developments. Thank you.
Okay, so we can start with the last question. This is the last general question, and then we'll be asking each of you a specific question to each of you. And then we'll have closing statements of 3 minutes each. Okay, what specific initiatives to attract young families and address declining school enrollment?
I would think the first thing we need to do as a village government is support the school district. So when they go for additional funding, we always have a level asking the state to get additional funding, because what that's going to do is lower the cost. So really it comes down to cost for people, to attract people to our community. My neighborhood is littered with young children, so the turnover is happening right now. So really everything comes down to cost. If we, and again, I don't need to be redundant and go back to the Bluff Project Phase 2, we are going to hang an anchor on us financially for a long time with the maintenance. These costs add up. They keep driving our village taxes through the roof. And if we don't get them under control with reasonable plans, we are going to not attract young families to our community because they can't afford it. The power plant situation. Another huge problem that we have in this community, we need to really, I know Bob said he agreed with me that they started using the scalpel with the budget. We might have to sharpen the scalpel a little bit.
So let me start by saying, I think we have the best school district on Long Island. That is not my 24 years ago, I moved here because of the school system. Kelly and I were talking, where do you want to go? And we looked at the school district and we said, well, we're going to go to Fort Jefferson because of the schools. So we got to keep the schools vibrant. As we said before, it's a separate school, it's a separate district, so we have to work together with the district. We also have to talk to people up in Albany. We really have to expand the school district lines. And I know that's a tough sell, and that is tough to do, because Comstock doesn't want to give up their portion of it, Three Village doesn't want to give their portion of it, but I'm sure there's ways to go around getting it done. So we really have to start to lobby the people up in Albany to say, let's expand the school district. Let's get people that live in Port Jefferson in the Port Jefferson School District.
So I definitely support the schools as well. I'm a parent of 2 boys. that currently attend Port Jefferson School District. One that graduated last year. I definitely believe there should be more transparency in the school and more communication, and I don't feel that the village hall does not want to work with them. I feel that everybody wants to work together, and as a village, we need to pull strong and work together no matter what our differences is. So, no matter what, everybody wants to say with the village not working with the school, and the school not working with the village, we need to stop. And we all need to come together, support our village, and support our children's district, because nobody wants the school district to close. And no matter what, the mayor or the board cannot close down the school. So I don't know who's starting the rumor where we need to close the school, because we can't close the school.